What it do? Yo, man, listen. Thunder Chicken, PogChamp, Thunder Chicken, PogChamp. Let's get right into the video. Magnus the Red, the demon Primarch of the Thousand Sons Legion, is coming to Tacticus as a guild raid boss. He is the second demon Primarch coming to Tacticus, and he is the second Chaos boss in the game. I've had a little bit of time to play with him early in order to make this video. And let me say, one, he's quite exciting. Two, he's a marvel to look at. And three, he's kind of hard. So, enough teasing. Let's get into the primes. As you can see, the first side boss is Tomascus. I will be calling him Tom because English is difficult. So, he has the same abilities as the character version. He can possess one of your characters and associated summons. His passive is a shield that he gives to friendly characters or summons, and he gives it to himself if there's nothing alongside him. Now, he does have an extra passive called the Illusion of Siege. At the start of the battle, he creates a copy of the enemy team to fight for him. Copies have the same stats and ability levels as the original units. As long as one of these copies is on the battlefield, reduce all the incoming damage to Tomascus. When copied characters are defeated for the first time, Tomascus loses 52,000 health. Now, this is a very unique, very interesting fight. When you are bringing characters into this fight, you have to be cognizant of what abilities you have and what your characters can do in Arena. Now, why do I say this? If you're bringing something like Saint Celestine, she's going to have the same passive as, Saint Celestine has. So when you attack her, there's going to be a Gemini, and then there's going to be another Gemini, and Revas has Overwatch. So things that are good in the sense that they are very annoying to deal with in Arena are going to be annoying to deal with in the side boss. So you can bring certain things, however, it's important to bring enough gas in your team to be able to deal with these copies. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because these copies absolutely slap. If you don't do anything, they're gonna kill you in 1 or 2 turns, so you really have to focus them. If you have Ragnar Blackmane, I suggest you use the Howl to kill the copies. They're that strong. I've had runs, I played it a little bit. I've had runs where I was like, oh, let me just ignore this summon, or not summon, copy, and then they proceed to kill Eldurion, or they proceed to kill, like, Asmodai or whatever. It's crazy. However, there are certain things you can do to your benefit. For example, as you can see in the top right corner of your screen, he actually does copy the Machine of War. Now, this would be a bad thing if your Machine of War was Galatian, because, if you have a high-level Galatian, it's going to be like 20,000 health and 4,000 armor to get through, and you're going to have to divert your attention. However, if you have a not-so-leveled-up Bio-War, you summon, or rather, the enemy summons the Spore Mines, and then you kill them in melee, which stacks up Karn's passive. So there are all these, like, small things. Now, of course, you want to prioritize the copies, because 1, Tomascus takes reduced damage when they're alive, and 2, when they're killed, Tomascus takes a lot of damage. So, aside from these reasons, I really urge you to focus the copies, because they are the biggest threat. I will go as far as to say they are even more dangerous than Tom. So, just saying. Very interesting boss fight, very engaging, I really like it. The second one is Abrax. Now, same situation. Abrax has the same abilities as he does in the character version. However, he does have an extra passive called Screamer Invocation. The first time there are no allied demons on the battlefield, at the end of his turn, Abrax summons X amount of Screamers onto the battlefield. And when a friendly demon is defeated, Abrax loses 14,000 health. As long as there are friendly demons on the battlefield, he takes 6% reduced damage. A similar concept to Tom, in the sense that when his summons are up, he takes reduced damage, so you do want to focus the summons. Now, the demons, the Screamers, are in fact summons, so Ulf goes crazy here. Ulf is really good. I suggest you use Ulf because you will be absolutely ripping and tearing through those Screamers. Additionally, I find that Ascor and Karn do kinda go really hard. And this is like, oh, what's happening, Draupnir? Are you coping? I get that. However, look at, for example, this layout that I posted. It's actually quite interesting because if you can see, these guys are placed in such a way that if you were to place Ascor here, you're going to attack Ascor, they're going to attack him 8 times, you're not going to kill him, so Ascor is going to stack up 8 times his passive, and then he's going to kill one of them, and then boom, just like that, he becomes like a semi-Calgar for, what's his name? Karn the Betrayer, and you might be thinking to yourself, oh, why don't I take Calgar? Well, Calgar only boosts 4 hits versus 12 hits from Ascor. It's just semantics at that point, okay? But what I'm saying is, Ulf goes hard. Many things, like you can use your average psychic hate in the form of Roswitha, High Marshal Helbrecht, Eldurion. Like, these are all characters that go really hard in this boss. He is, I don't want to say he's a pushover, but if you know what you're doing, this fight becomes significantly easier. Whereas if you don't know what you're doing, this becomes very difficult to deal with. Now, for the boss, Magnus the Red. First things first, I'll give credit where it's due. Magnus looks amazing. Okay? I like, there's this running gag between me and my friends where I say, oh, this model is the coolest, this model is the coolest, about like every model. And I do think that all models look really cool. 40K has like some amazing models. However, seeing them in motion, like animated and whatnot, it is an absolute joy. I love Magnus as a model and whatnot. So, with, with glazing out of the way, let's cover his passives. He has one extra passive that I didn't add here because it's just his normal attack that does psychic damage and hits 2 things. I don't think that's worth noting. Everything is a normal attack. So, let's start. The first passive is Impossible Form. Each turn, the 9th attack, and every 9th attack, additional attack. Oh my god, goodness, Draupnir fell off! He can't even... I'll edit this out, I'm not gonna edit it out. Anyways, each turn, the 9th attack and every 9th additional attack against Magnus deals 90% reduced damage. This is very much anti-summon in the sense that if you're bringing 5 characters, you're not going to be attacking more than 9 times. Like if you have 5 characters, maybe you're going to attack a few more times. It's not that bad. I'm going to skip Gaze of Magnus and I'm going to go into Psychic Domain. You'll understand why. So Psychic Domain is Magnus takes 66% reduced psychic damage and deals plus 66% damage against Psychers. So this trait is very similar to the anti-Psyker trait the Silent King has. However, this is absolutely devastating because not only does he take significantly reduced damage from Psychers, he dishes out so much damage. It is no joke. Which brings me to the Gaze of Magnus. This is one of the most important abilities you need to, be aware of. So it reads, at the end of each of his turns, Magnus turns his gaze upon an enemy character, choosing a Psyker if possible. So if you have a Psyker, he is going to choose your Psyker. In this example I have, he will always choose Eldurion as long as Eldurion is alive because he hates Psykers. Now, at the beginning of Magnus' next turn, if that character is a Psyker or attacked Magnus while under the gaze, it takes like a buttload of psychic damage. And if it is a Psyker, it is stunned for 1 round. Scores +1 hit for each turn in a row that Magnus attacks the same target with the gaze. What does this mean? This means that Magnus, you cannot bring Psykers. He will absolutely dumpster the Psykers. It is not even joke. It's not even funny. This fight, you are physically able to bring Eldurion, but in reality, you can't bring Eldurion in this fight. Why, you might ask? It's the middle part. So it's the condition. At the beginning of Magnus' next turn, if the character is a Psyker or attacked Magnus while under the gaze, it takes psychic damage. And this is... what's going to happen is the first time he does this, because it's end of each of his turns. So first turn, Eldurion's going to get dunked on. And then the second turn, it's going to go 2 hits and 6,000 psychic damage plus 66% of the 6,000. that's gonna kill almost any Psyker in the game. And that's 2 turns. There's 6 turns of surviving this guy. It is absolute insanity. And they get stunned. I mean, I think the approach the community should take against this guy is just the same thing as the Avatar of Cain, whereas you don't bring Psykers into him. Anyways, so if you're not a Psyker, as long as you don't attack the boss, he is not going to do damage to you. However, you can calculate how much health you have, how much damage he's going to do, and if you're going to survive it. Psykers, non-Psykers don't get stunned. So it's essentially him putting one of your characters in timeout if they're not a Psyker. If they are a Psyker, he just dunks on them. There's a lot to talk about. I did yap a lot about the Gaze of Magnus because that's like the biggest ability. Now, he has 2 more. Zeech's Firestorm marks all hexes exactly 2 hexes away from Magnus in a ring around him at the beginning of his turn. All enemy units on the targeted hexes receive like 6,000, around, give or take, flame damage. For the next 2 turns, the process repeats, reducing the ring size by 1 and increasing hits to enemies. And it doesn't matter. It just does psychic. It just does flame damage. I can't speak. It's getting to me. Sorry. So this is relatively scary in the sense that you take damage. However, it's flame damage. It doesn't have too much pierce. Additionally, the hexes will be flame hexes. However, you can freely move through them. They are flame hexes in the sense that they indicate a flame damage is going to be happening there, not in the sense that they physically block your movement. I think this is not like a super scary, dangerous ability. Speaking of dangerous abilities, Treason of Zeech. I did call this, just wear my flowers. So this one teleports an enemy character to another random hex and creates a copy of the character in its old location. The copy fights on the side of Magnus and has 50% of the original character's maximum health. All other stats and ability levels are identical. Now, this is very similar to Tom in the sense that he copies a character you have. This is very funky in the sense that one of your characters just gets yeeted somewhere else on the battlefield. And it's, it can be good, it can be bad, because he does move around a lot. Other than that, characters, similar to the Tom fight, characters that have like passives that are like defensive do become very annoying. For example, if you're playing a melee team and for some reason you bring Jane Czar, Jane Czar is going to have the passive, so she takes reduced damage from melee attacks. If you bring something like Saint Celestine, the Gemini will be there, right? So they're going to be all these things, so you have to be careful of what characters you bring. Like Ragnar is whatever. Like they can't die. They only have 50% health, so they're not that like daunting. Just allocate one character to deal with the summons, and then the others will, do their things. However, if you've been paying attention, you have 5 characters. You can't bring Eldarion, and one character is gonna get Gaze of Magnus, and another character is gonna have to deal with this copy. What you can do is you can be like, hey, the Gaze of Magnus character goes after the copy, right? Because you're not doing damage to Magnus, and you get the point. Now, what teams can you use? I'm going to be very realistic with you. As much as I like the Neurotrope, you can't use Neurotrope against this guy. Okay? I'm sorry. Like, if you were expecting me to bring you some, like, 10 billion IQ insane plays, we're like, oh, this is how you... No. You just cannot bring Neurotrope teams. I'm sorry. I'll explain why. Like, I shouldn't have to explain it, but I'm going to explain it because, it's just whatever. So, at first, he takes 66% reduced damage from Psykers. That is insane. Second, he's a Thousand Suns unit, so you can't bring Abrax, Yaskor, or Ahriman against him. Like, what are you gonna bring? And Neurotrope is gonna get dunked on. He doesn't have that much health, so like 1 or 2 turns, he's gonna die. So it really is not worth Neurotrope. I did try him. It goes horribly. Extor row comps, it's pretty interesting. They are, I'm not a big fan of this. The reason being, Magnus moves around too much, and he does have the summon that he creates a copy of your guy and your summons go after him. So it creates this weird situation where your units just walk into the flames and they die, and then the summons that don't die go after the copy, and row never procs. Like it's really just not good. That leaves us with the Ragnar comp. Now, Ragnar comp is good in the sense that it front loads the damage. However, it's hindered by the fact that you can't bring Eldurion. Luckily for us, some content creator named Draupnir, what is that name? Made a proof of concept on Avatar of Cain using the Ragnar theme with a special character called Asmodai. Just saying, you know, just 10,000 IQ, gigabrain Draupnir, just saying. Anyways, jokes aside, personally, I have had no success with any other team against Magnus. Against the Legendary 4, I was able to get like high 500,000 damage using the Ragnar team. However, I am quite excited to see what the top guilds will do, because top guilds are like amazing at breaking the game and figuring out the most optimal strategies. I didn't have that much time to figure out what was happening. You know, I had like school and stuff. So anyways, the team I will bring, I think Ragnar Blackmane is good. I think Calgar is good because of Ragnar, of course. I think Anshi is good for a double Howl turn. Anshi is going to get destroyed, but you know, it's only the double Howl that matters. I think Karn the Betrayer is good. I think Asmodai is reasonable. I don't want to say he's good. However, the active ability lets him attack as well because Magnus is a chaos enemy, so the active procs, which is good. And lastly, Roswitha is extremely good because A, Magnus is a Psyker, and B, Magnus is a Psyker. I'm sorry, he's Demon too, right? So you get extra damage too. So, yeah, no, I don't know what to say. It's just the Ragnar team is good. This boss is, I dare I say, like, good for the game because you can't reuse extra row against it, but I don't know. Anyways, Ragnar's good. I like Ragnar comps. You can use any of these. As long as you have Ragnar, I think any combination of the remaining 5 characters will be fine. Thank you very much for watching the video. Special thanks to Dieselpox, Papa John, Lethal Llama, Sarp, Heartswept, Escleon, Yeris, Bruce McSoup, Prosan, Infinite Power, Usalta 4, Cinnamon Prophet, Aina Hay, Karn, Mara, Player 8387, Ibikit, Sang the Memoriam, Coder 94, Hentos, Tokani, Campino, Carl, Slim Pickings, Ravenor, and Player 1150. For entering my reference code, it genuinely means a lot to me. It's in the middle of the screen. If you want to enter it, you get 100 Blackstone shards. It's a great way to support the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Once again, thank you very much for watching the video. Have a good day, and stay safe.